Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good Wednesday, hump day. Hump day halfway through the week. Good to see you all here. Wow. What a gorgeous morning. Look at everybody coming in. Wow. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. Good to see you. Good to see you. Look at the sunshine coming through the windows. Ain't it great? Ain't it great? And as usual, let's start it off. Drink it. If you got it. If you don't got it, go get it. If you don't want it, that's okay too. I'm going to drink it from my new coffee cup. It's a funny story, and I'm going to tell you that funny story of this new coffee cup that I have here today. And it's an irreverent coffee cup. A gift from my daughter who knows me so well. And it says, white, straight, Republican male. How else can I piss you off today? It don't get any more politically incorrect than this, folks. I have great kids. I have great kids, and they send me stuff like this. And even though it doesn't say Morning Coffee with Mitch on it, I thought you'd all get a kick out of this company. You'll probably see more of it because I love it. I love it. And let me tell you the story real quick. While everybody's piling in, including, let me take a minute right here, right now, because I see Lewis L. from New York. Lewis L. is in the chat. And I got to tell you, my friend, I watched the entire replay of your live stream with Nelson Vasquez this morning on Kilty's channel, because Kilty's in Mexico, and he turned his 6 a.m. live stream over to you two guys. And I got to tell you, my friend, Lewis, you did a fabulous job. And your story, a story that I really didn't know much about. I knew you pretty much as Lewis from New York, a Mitch Fit. And I'm proud to say that I can call you a Mitch Fit because I was very, very impressed by your story, your accomplishment, the amount of weight that you lost, your journey. I'm almost twice your age, Lewis. That kind of scared me. I'll be 78 in a few months. You're 41. Lewis, I have underwear older than you. That's a scary thought for me. To have had the medical history at such a young age, with all the conditions and all the drugs and the diabetes at that age, and having overcome it, is monumental. monumental. And your story is something I think more young people and even us old farts need to hear. And because of that, even though I said I don't interview people, I don't have guests, I keep to myself pretty much, there is one community that I do include myself in, even though I don't participate a lot, not a lot of social media, but that's Kilty. That's Kilty. You know, I love the guy. You know, I love him. I love everything he does. He is a zero ego or self-aggrandizing human being. Genuine. And one of the few, I don't want to say one of the few I admire a lot of people, but kind of like a brother from another mother, the way I look at Kilty. And I got such a charge yesterday about how he was watching my live stream in the back of a limo on the way to Miami to catch a plane to Mexico City. And he stayed with us the whole live stream yesterday. And it was an honor for me, because if I have credibility with a man like that, that is the highest compliment for me. So I assume he made it safely to Mexico City, and I'm sure we'll hear all about it. And even though I generally don't watch his live streams when they're live, I've kind of gotten into the habit of using the time between when I get finished with my early morning activity and watching the clock, waiting for 9:30 to come along. I pretty much universally these days will watch the replay of his live stream. And it was particularly gratifying for me to hear Lewis's story this morning and Nelson's, who I also consider a friend, and I love him. I love the guy. And hear some of the trials and tribulations that both of these men, that come from, I would say, very different backgrounds, but very similar cultures. That is the Puerto Ricans and the Italians. And in so many ways, as a Jewish man, our cultures overlap in so many ways. It's incredible, especially the Jews and the Italians. We all grew up together in the big city. We all had grandmothers that were like carbon copies of each other. It's very hard to tell the difference between an Italian grandmother and a Jewish grandmother. It's just something in our culture that I identify with. And so, Lewis, I really enjoyed that. And I'm going to open an invitation to you, my friend. Since you're such a loyal follower of my crazy journey here, if you think you might want to you don't have to come in and be a guest for an hour, but just stop by. I'll send you a link. Send me an email. Let me know. OldGuyCarnivore@gmail.com. And we'll make a time where you can come in and spend 5 or 10 minutes with me, kind of like Jonathan did last month. Another person that I consider a friend. I would love to do it. And Lewis says, I'll think about it, LOL. Okay, but you are welcome, my friend. No obligation, no pressure. But your story is great. Your story is great, and I think people need to hear it. I think people need to hear it. So I hope I haven't embarrassed the piss out of you this morning. But it didn't go unnoticed, and I would recommend that everybody, if you haven't seen it, and even if you don't normally watch Kilt's live streams or the replays, check this one out. Check this one out. It was great. It was great. And I hope you get a chuckle out of my cup every time I take a sip out of my coffee this morning. Lewis says, talk to my agent. I love it. I love it. My normal response to something like that would be, thanks, Lewis. I'll have my people contact your people. I don't have people. I have you guys. You guys are my people. I'm in a great mood today. God, what a story I have to tell you about my adventures this morning. But first, let me just get this out of the way real quick while more and more people pile in here. I hope to see a big audience today. First in this morning at 5:49 a.m., Lynn Gerber, good morning to you. I don't know what happened to anybody that might have popped into the chat last night. I put this thing up relatively early. I think it was around 8 p.m. last night. But when I got and looked this morning, there wasn't any entries in the chat before Lynn's. So we have to declare Lynn. We have to declare Lynn the winner this morning, followed closely by the Furl Grandma says, hi, gang, and Wayne Herman. Greg Smith from Arizona trucking away. Hiya, Greg. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you this morning. Aunt B. Okay, made the #1 position, checking in. It appears that I, too, have been erased. Oh, Shaw, yes, I don't know what happened to all of you, but I'll take your word for it, B. I'll take your word for it. Bob Black chimed in this morning. Mike Seeley, Sr., father of United Carnivore, having his 1-year carniversary yesterday. Congratulations again. And I see you're over in the Rumble chat. Greetings from Tampa Bay. That's Mike Seeley Jr. No, I don't see you. And yes, there you are. Greetings from Melbourne, Florida. And Gary No Slows over in the Rumble chat as well, which I am monitoring. I'm monitoring all these chats. As usual, I am surrounded by displays of all sizes. It's a great morning. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. It was a little chilly. It was about 55 when I got out here this morning. Rick from Miami checked in. Good morning to you and the Ducks. Mark Booz is here. Hiya, Mark. Good to see you. Michael Pregular, how you doing? Just got back from the weight room, as I would expect nothing less. Good morning, Michael. Good morning. How are you? Steve Studley chimed in early. Jerry Graham, good morning, Mitch and Mitch Fitz. Thomas, Target Prime Rib is here. Hiya, Thomas. How are you? How's the beard coming, my friend? We'll see you tomorrow night, I hope, on the private community live stream. And Solitary Carnivores with us. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Good to see you. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Good to see you, Richard. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Margie Graves is here from Indiana. Morning, Margie. Good morning. How are you? Harry Dion is here. Good morning, Harry. How are you? And Lizzie. Good morning, Lizzie. Always good to see you in here. And here's Mike. Mike Seeley. Hi, Michael. Good to see you. Good to see you. Smoothie 420 chimed in at 9:21. Good to see you. Morning, Mitch. It's a rainy day here. And good morning to all meat eaters. The rain finally ended here. We're going to have a string of nice days. God, have I been looking forward to this. Bryce Hatch says, good morning, everybody. Steve McAvoy, good morning, Mitch. Have a good day. I'm golfing soon. Good for you. Good for you, man. And Tuka, hiya, Tuka. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Got your email last night? I'll take care of that as soon as the stream is over. Charles Faircloth, good morning, Charles. How are you? Whoa, Tuka. I have the flu, but going so far, I will be able to sing in the concert. I'm a bit under... Oh, man, I don't envy you that. I have finally shaken this thing. Hopefully, we'll have a very, very minimum of nose blowing and sneezing and coughing this morning. I think I'm pretty well over it. Pretty well over it. And I feel great. I feel great this morning. I feel like I'm back. Feel like I'm back. And I'm going to tell you the story about my morning when I get through saying hi to the people that chimed in early. We have Chris Swain. Good morning to you, Chris. Claudia Burkick is here. How you doing? And Aaron, Booby Goats, good morning, everyone. It's going to be a beautiful day. Yes, it is. A beautiful, healthy, feel-good, carb-free day yet again. Ace. Hi, Ace. Good morning to you. And Cordelia is here. Cordelia from Albany, New York. Good to see you. Good to see you. Jerry Hall. Hi, Jerry. How you doing? Good to see you. Mike Seeley Sr. checked in. Marla Kelly. Hi, Marla. It's great to see all you guys here. First thing this morning. Gary is here. No slow. Hi, Gary. Trina Mitchell says good morning. And Trina, ding, 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 is the winner at 9:30, right on the bell, followed shortly, milliseconds later, by Lady June. Terry Sue, good morning, Terry. Morning, Mitch. And to all you coffee-drinking cattle munchers, I barely skidded in on time. You were on time right at 9:30. And Rick at 9:30, Smoothie, Mark Booze. Good morning, Mike Allen. How you doing? Edward Renner from what is normally rainy Seattle. Jerry Graham, how you doing? Right at 9:30 as well. Cordelia, the Furrow Grandma. Sherry on a low-carb journey. Hiya, Sherry. Welcome. Welcome. Haven't seen you before. But I'll recognize you next time. Good to see you. Another Sherry. Terry Sue says she misses the Joe Camel commercials. Yeah, we'd be better off with Joe Camel commercials than we would with Tony the Tiger commercials. There is no doubt about that. And looking out for me, Jerry Hall says cigar day. And yes, I do have a cigar here. Wow, it's got something hanging off of it, which I will fire up as soon as we get going here to a little happy music to start off the day. We have Smokey Bear Lover. Good morning. Live your best life. What great advice. What great advice. Carnivorous Cat Mama's here. Jemmet. Good morning, Jemmet. How are you? And that was the first 9:31. So we've gotten through the first minute of the chat, and I am only 20 minutes behind already. How does that happen? How the hell does that happen? I honest to God don't know how that happens, but it happens, and it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Louis L. chimed in, says, good morning all. Hi, Mitch. Louis L. says, let's see the cup. I already showed you the cup, but I'll show it to you again because I want to take another sip of coffee. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but the steam is coming off of this coffee because of the coffee warmer. And I love this cup. And I love this cup. And I got a lot of stories to tell today. But let me tell you, to put QQQ or QQQQ or as many Qs as you think is required to attract my attention, if you want to ask me something, I'm trying to figure out what that is. I'll get to it in a second. Lizzie, Booby Goats, everybody's here. Good to see you. And what does this say? No coffee for me. I'm drinking yerba mate. I have no idea, Smokey Bear Lover, what yerba mate is, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it, whatever it is. Yerba mate. The hell is yerba mate? I could Google it, but I might later. Somebody will probably tell me. Terry Sue likes the cup. I love it. I love it when it says, how else can I piss you off today? And that's kind of a commentary on what's wrong with our society. Everybody is looking for a reason to be offended and get their dander up. Hopefully we're going to get away from that attitude. And Tuka asked the most important question of the day. How are you, boss? Better than you today, I think, Tuka. My flu is over, I think. You should hire Joe Camel to make advertising for you. Yeah, I think they've killed Joe Camel pretty well. Lewis says that mug was made for me. Yeah, perfectly stated, says Mike. I love it. I love it. I love it. Denise Kink is here. Hiya, Denise. Good for you. Good to see you. Good to see you. And let me see if there's anybody I haven't said hi to yet. Deborah, wise gal. Good morning. I still drink my coffee. Atta girl. Atta girl. Drink your coffee if you want to. We can only do the best for each of us. I see Tuka just threw me a super chat or super sticker. Thank you, Tuka. Thank you so much, my friend. Always appreciate it. I will pop it up on the screen when it comes up in this chat. Scotter's here. Good morning, Scotter. Kevin Michael, family of Smith, how you doing, my friend? Welcome. Welcome. Who else? Lewis. Lewis is humble. It's a good trait. Good trait. I really appreciate the feedback, guys. It was just me, Lewis from New York. I'm nothing special. I am just like you. We should all have that attitude. We should all have that attitude. Who else haven't I said hi to? I think I've pretty well said hi to everybody. 9:40. I'll just take another second and go through this. 120 people here already. It's great to see you guys. Great to see you. And it is a glorious day. It is a glorious day. And I got up at 5 o'clock this morning. I'm down to 2 dozen eggs in my refrigerator. I have not been shopping since I first had this flu thing a couple weeks ago, over 2 weeks ago. I have just been avoiding being out in public. I didn't want to spread it around, and I didn't want to reinforce it with any new wonderful things that have been incubating in the human population. I've kept, really, it's been crazy. I've kept to myself. And I keep watching, because I eat most days 5 eggs, some days 4. If there happen to be smaller eggs, I'll eat 6 eggs. So when I see 2 dozen eggs left in my refrigerator, I see basically 4 or 5 days worth of eggs, because I eat eggs every day. I haven't been able to get the eggs that I wanted. I wrestled with the fact, do I want to go to Sam's Club this morning? And I really didn't want to, knowing that I wanted to set up outside here today. I wouldn't set up outside, leave all this equipment out here, and then just go off to Sam's Club. So it would have been a rush getting home. So last night, and I'll tell you the story now. And don't forget, put QQQs in the chat. I will get to them. It's been taking me 2 hours, but I will get through the chat. And if I don't answer your question while you're here, while you're watching me live, because maybe you had a life and had to get away and do something, that answer will be on the replay. But I have been able to get through the entire chat every day, however long it takes. And it doesn't matter to me how long it takes, because this is what I'm doing. But this morning I got up at 5 o'clock, or last night, I said to myself, I need to find some eggs. I need to stock up on some eggs. That's like money in the bank for me. I have plenty of food. There's no way I'm going to go hungry, but I've been eating up all the eggs, and I had really stocked up on them. Not my favorite kind of eggs. They were what they call cage-free, 2 dozen to a flat from Sam's Club that I bought the last time I was there. And I had some already, so I had plenty of eggs. They're white eggs. I don't think cage-free means anything. I try to find pasture-raised or free-range or legitimate eggs that come from smaller legitimate farms. Very tough to find. Very tough to find. So I asked Google, I said, what time does Walmart open in the morning? Because I have a big Walmart supercenter that I never go to, because I go to Sam's Club, which is the same company. Sam's Club is Walmart. And while they sell Wright's bacon at Walmart, they sell it in much smaller packages, and it costs more money. And while they sell beef at Walmart, they don't have butchers at Walmart. The beef has to be butchered somewhere else, and it has to come in on their truck. And the variety of beef varies greatly, whereas at least they have a butcher department at the Sam's Club. I know those butchers. I see them every time I go in there. They know I'm carnivore. They help me out. They steer me to what looks good, or they'll cut something for me if I want it special. So it's like a butcher shop more than a big box store. So I like that. But I get in there at 8 o'clock, and I would get home at 8:30, 8:45, even if I did my speed shopping like I always do. You know, old fart, get out of my way, everybody. Come on, you move at this. I move at the speed 3 times the speed of humanity when I have a shopping cart in front of me. The carnage is terrible. I don't think I've run anybody down, but I've come damn close to it. I can't hold it against people. People shop. They stroll, they look, they peruse. Not me. I'm on a mission when I go into a store. Get out of my way. So I found out Walmart opens at 6 a.m. They're open from 6 to 11 every day. Now, before COVID, they used to be 24/7, the Walmart. You could go in at 3 o'clock in the morning and do your shopping. So I said, that's it. I'm going to Walmart this morning at 6 a.m. I am going to Walmart. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I went to Walmart. And I found eggs. I found eggs. Look at this. Look at this. They weren't the cheapest. All of those blue containers were either a dozen or a dozen and a half eggs, and they were priced at around $5 to $6 a dozen, which is still cheap when you consider how many meals you get out of a dozen eggs. It's still cheap. It's cheaper than a ribeye, that's for sure. I think it's some of the most nourishing food you can eat. You know how I feel about that. So I went to Walmart. There's my shopping cart, as you can see right here. There's my shopping cart. Let me get it over me. And right there you see 5 packages of 18 dozen and a half free-range eggs from something called Nellie's. And I'd never heard of these eggs. They're not the typical pasture-raised eggs that come into Sam's Club. This is what they had of them on the shelf right there. That was it. And there was no limit on them. And they cost $9 and change for a dozen and a half eggs. But of all the eggs that were there this morning, and there probably were more eggs to be put out because they really, that's when they're stocking. I've never seen so many employees in a store in my life as at 6 a.m. in Walmart. There had to be 50, 100 of them running around, pushing big carts full of merchandise, restocking everything. That's when they restock the store, first thing in the morning. But these eggs were there, and I said, well, that's as close as I think I'm going to get to a decent egg. So I ended up buying 5 packages, which was total, I think, for the 5, about $48. But that was 5 dozen, 7.5 dozen eggs for $48 is acceptable for me. I'm fine with that, as long as they're good quality eggs. So that's what I bought. Nellie's free-range eggs, and I'll let you know how they are. I also found a 10-pound chub of 73.27 ground beef. It didn't say much on the label. There wasn't even any ingredients on the label. But it was 10 pounds and it was $34. So it's $3.50 a pound. I said, wow, what's the worst it could be? So I picked up one of those. And then I went over to look at the beef because I said, well, maybe they got some ribeyes or something. Nothing. They had nothing. Nothing looked good. Nothing was really thick cut, not like Sam's Club. So I said, nah, I'm not going to buy beef here. These are the eggs. This is the label. 18 large, grade A, fresh brown eggs, Nellie's free-range eggs. No antibiotics, no added hormones, says. Healthy hens, healthy eggs, healthy planet. God count me in. Certified humane, raised and handled, part of the Pete and Jerry's family, whoever they may be. So I said, okay, all right, let's buy these. They look pretty good. And on the label, they told you what free range means. It means raised with kindness. Nellie and friends. So I guess the name of the chicken is Nellie. Nellie and friends are free to roam, forage, and explore in big pastures on small farms, where they frolic in fresh air, soak up sunshine, and munch on yummy snacks. Their eggs, in turn, boast sturdy shells, sunny yolks, and rich, creamy flavor. Again, sign me up. And then there's a QR code that I can scan for more egg-ucation. I said, I don't know if these eggs are any good, but they certainly are the friendliest eggs I've ever heard of. And nowhere on the package. And this is the difference between these eggs and the pasture-raised eggs at Sam's Club. Nowhere on this package did it say vegetarian fed. No animal byproducts. It says they're free to roam, soak up sunshine, and munch on yummy snacks. And what is a yummy snack for a chicken, if it's actually true? A yummy snack for a chicken is a worm or a grub. They are carnivorous birds. They are not, just like we're not, supposed to be eating a vegetarian soy-based diet. Sorry, it may sound politically correct. It may be what the great unwashed public who has no idea what a chicken is supposed to eat, or their dog for that matter. They put this vegetarian-fed nonsense on the label because they know that that's what people demand. And I didn't see that, and I looked everywhere on this label for that. Then they went on and described what cage-free is. So on top, it said free range, and on the bottom it says, Nellie's believes in doing better. They cross out the cage-free. Hens live in crowded barns without access to the outdoors. While they aren't confined to small cages, they still spend their entire lives indoors, never seeing the sun. That is what cage-free means. Now, I can only hope that when they say free range, they don't mean that they're in a hen house the size of the Walmart I was in, and way in the corner of that hen house there is a little swinging door like a cat door, and outside of that door is a maybe 1 or 2 square yard patch of grass with a fence around it, where these chickens are free to roam in this Coliseum-sized building that they live in. And if they wander upon that door and wander outside, they could see the sun and maybe munch on a worm or two that's in the grass out there. That is all that the U.S. Department of Agriculture requires to label a product free range. And that's where I have no idea. It says that these eggs come from small farms. I have no way to check that out. I could do a lot more investigations into this company, whether this is a standard item that they carry at the Walmart or not. Based on the label from these eggs, these are probably, I think, or there's a shot at them being the best, most nutritious eggs I have been able to find in the past years of trying to buy eggs without having a small farm next door and getting to know the chickens by their first names, the hens. The nutrition label is exactly what it should be for an egg. It's got potassium, iron, calcium, and vitamin D. That's great, but not any tremendous amount, since we need 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day. But I get a lot of potassium from the bacon that I eat too. So that looked good. That looked good. And that's what the eggs look like. Obviously, they're naturally brown eggs and weren't just spray painted. You got to be a little wary when all of the eggs are all perfect looking and exactly the same shade of tan. But that was my Walmart shopping adventure this morning, and we'll see. I'll let you know how they were, and if they're good, and if indeed they continue to stock them, and if indeed I can find them at 6 in the morning, because I'm always up, at the Walmart, which is closer to me than the Sam's Club is. At 6 o'clock in the morning, there's no traffic. The store's not crowded. It was great. It was great. I will continue to buy my eggs there because I think that they may be the best eggs I ever found. And Less than 10 bucks for a dozen and a half eggs is acceptable for me. When you think that that still comes out to less than $2 a meal. And any meal that you can have as a carnivore, or keto even, or ketovore, any meal that you can have 5 eggs, 4 or 5 eggs for $2, even $3 if it goes to that. When you take and you add a $1.50's worth of bacon to it, you still got a very cheap meal, probably one of the most nutritious meals that you can eat. So that was my shopping adventure this morning. I did want to share that with you, and I drug out my iPhone, took a couple pictures, and wow, people have been buying me coffees. Thank you so much. Let's see who bought me some coffees this morning. Tanya, Kitchen Witch bought me a coffee. Thank you. All work, but always at work, but always listening. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Tanya, thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Jerry Graham bought me a coffee. I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers, she says. Thank you so much, Jerry. And Jeff Johnson, the name you know, bought me 3 coffees this morning, and he says to me, "Hi, Mitch. Jeff Johnson, you know the name? Question. My NP book day cardio calcium scan in a couple weeks for me. This guy thinks cholesterol is clogging my arteries. Why don't they give me a cholesterol artery scan then instead of a calcium scan? Is there one of those? Thanks." No, I don't think so. I don't think they have a way to scan the arteries. They can only scan the arteries for plaque. And when you scan for just calcium, you're not seeing all the plaque. You're just not, Jeff, you're not seeing all the plaque that might be there. You could have an artery loaded up with plaque and have no calcium. The body calcifies the plaque to stabilize it, to keep it from breaking off and maybe causing clots and blockages. It is a defense mechanism of the body to calcify plaque. The only way to see with any certainty, well, there's a couple ways to see the plaque. You could have an angiogram, a very invasive procedure where they go in with a catheter, generally through your femoral artery, and they go up into the arteries of your heart. They have you under X-ray. They inject dyes, and they can see blockages that way. Or they have an imaging version of an angiogram they call a CT angiogram. It's done with a CAT scanner. CT means computer-aided tomography. It's a type of scan. We have PET scans, we have CAT scans, we have X-rays, we have all kinds of things. We have MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging. We have all kinds of different ways to explore what's inside of us that we can't see. But a CT angiogram happens to be a fairly expensive test. Anytime you climb under a CT scanner, the hospital likes to bill $1,000, $2,000 for the privilege. Ask me, I have had many CT scans in my life, especially for the kidney stones, especially for the brain surgery. And the bills are enormous from those things. The machinery is very, very expensive. They don't hesitate to bill. And I have gotten billed as much a number of years ago as $13,000 for a CT scan. You can pick up the calcium with ultrasound, for God's sakes. It shows up on X-rays. It shows up everywhere. But not the plaque, not the soft plaque. If you have soft plaque, you pretty much want to have calcium, because the calcium may be what has saved your life or saved you from having a heart attack. I'm not a doctor, and it's not up to me to interpret the results. But the doctors are so hung up on this cholesterol clogs the arteries stuff that they're misled. They have no idea that there still is no proof, no definitive study of any credibility that shows in any way, shape, or form that high LDL clogs arteries. They're still living by Ansel Keys' fraud. A fraud perpetrated, as we know, by the profiteers that want to sell drugs to us and scare the shit out of us, which is why I don't have a CT scan. Stay out of my arteries, please. Let my body, if I'm symptom-free, let my body. I understand, yes, they have heart attacks called the widowmaker, which you don't see coming and all those things. If that happens to me, so be it. But I've decided a long time ago, and I preach it here like the gospel, that I trust my physiology, I trust evolution, I trust the fact that I'm alive and every ancestor before me managed to stay alive, to reproduce, or I wouldn't be here. I trust that chemistry, that inherent genetic knowledge to run my machinery kindly. Stay out of it. That's my philosophy. Do I tell you to do the same thing? Hell no. I only put myself out, and you know this, as an example. And only time will tell, and that will be the only study, my N of 1, that means anything to me. And my knowledge of what I've discovered and learned, and where I put my faith and trust, and it's not in those fat, sick, white-coated idiots that just happen to go to medical school, learn all the wrong stuff, deify themselves and their massive egos, and think that they actually know what's really happening. I'll trust Nick Norwitz before I'll trust any of those doctors that practice medicine today, unless they have seen the light, like the few carnivore doctors and cardiologists, like Nadir Ali, guys like that, who actually have it figured out, like the Ben Bickmans, the research scientists, that actually have it figured out. So my advice, unless you have something that you're really stuck with, like you're a diabetic or something, which is why the conversation between Lewis and Nelson this morning on Kilty's live stream was so meaningful, because both of them were dying from sugar. Had gotten to a point where it could have almost killed them. And their story was the story of the path back from recovery, dealing with the carbohydrate addictions, fighting this unfightable urge to continue to eat the sugar, and finally realizing that you have to live, if you are an addict, you have to live without it. That's my message. That's why we come here, I guess, to hear that over and over and over again. So that was my little adventure this morning. I came home from that. And for the first time in a while, I did 50 push-ups. I did squats. I started moving again, now that I'm over this flu. I need to do more of that, and I will. And it felt great. It felt great. So I think I'm over it. There may still be a sniffle, but what am I going to do? What am I going to do? All right, put some questions in here. And I know this is kind of mercenary and everything, but let me throw my Buy Me a Coffee link in the chat. It's in the description of this video anyway. I guess people find it because I haven't asked for it yet today, but let me put it in there just in case anybody wants to help support my efforts here on YouTube. You guys are the reason I can keep doing this, and I always thank you for that. That and shopping on my Amazon links. That's become pretty much the source of my income from this YouTube adventure, which I do because I love to do it. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to stop even thinking about the money. Whatever comes will come, what doesn't, doesn't. And I'll keep doing this until nobody cares anymore or comes to watch me in the morning. In that case, I'll say, I did what I could. Hope I helped a few people, and I know I did. And I'll move on to the next thing in life. There's always a next thing. I'm scrolling through the chat here. Let me see if I had any more show notes. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, that bought me the coffees. I really appreciate that. Any more come in since then? No, that was it? Okay. Always like to thank you guys. Let's see here. Oh, I was watching. I don't know. I guess most of you know who Dan Bongino is. Especially if you keep up with politics, especially if you're a conservative. You know who Dan Bongino is. Dan, I've been following Dan Bongino for 10 years or more. I always admired the guy. He was an ex-Secret Service agent. He actually was on Obama's presidential detail. An ex-New York City cop. You know who Dan Bongino is. He started this little podcast, this little show in a basement of his house. And he talks common sense, and he's a smart guy. And his little podcast grew. He went over to Rumble, and he ended up with the biggest, millions of followers on his daily show every day. A lot of sponsors, and I don't hold that against him, but he started to make a fortune, and he is doing very well for himself. Well, it seems that they went to Dan Bongino because of his law enforcement and government and Secret Service background and asked him, Trump did, do you want to be the deputy director of the FBI under Kash Patel? We think, they told him, probably, that you're the most qualified individual on planet Earth to hold that position. And Dan accepted it. Now, a lot of people don't realize what he is going to be giving up to accept the position as a government employee. Because he's not the kind of a guy that's going to be corrupt, is going to take bribes, is going to try to enrich himself in that position. He is a man of service. I mean, a real man of service. He quit the Secret Service to run for Congress because he thought he could do some good as a congressman. He didn't get elected. He ran in a very liberal state as a conservative. But he had walked away from his Secret Service career. And because he walked away, they didn't fire him. He had no retirement, no nothing from it. But he wanted to be a public servant and do the best he could and where he thought he could do some good. So now he's accepted this job. And I've always admired the guy, except I'm watching one of his final live streams the other day, one of his final shows on Rumble. And he's all teary-eyed. He feels about his community of millions of people. Kind of like I feel about you guys. And if I had to say, guys, I can't do this anymore, I can't be with you every morning anymore, I would get teary-eyed too. Because even though my little thing is a much smaller scale than Dan Bongino's thing, I understand the connection that he has. And this is his last week doing his live stream, and he's going to be the deputy director of the FBI. And hopefully we can just straighten these big government organizations out and rid them of the politics and corruption that has governed their actions. I hope they straighten the Internal Revenue Service out. I hope they have weaponized virtually everything in government like they do in a third world country. They even tried to jail Donald Trump for the most bullshit of things. Without getting too much into politics, the thing that disturbed me was Dan Bongino has a sponsor on his show. Field of Greens is the name of the company. Field of Greens. And they make a supplement, one of these green powder things, kind of like Athletic Greens or any product that has the color green in its title. And to listen to him read the commercial, extolling the virtues of the quality of this huge variety of plant material, and that it will help improve your health and give you energy, and it's the answer to being healthy, eating powdered green poison every day. I didn't know what to think. So I thought, does he just not know that this shit is poison? Or maybe he isn't the saint that I thought he was. But that's the problem with having sponsors. That's why I don't have sponsors. There are very few people out there marketing anything that I believe in enough to say, I recommend that you take this stuff. Sorry. Too many of us sell out. So I gave Dan the benefit of the doubt because I've always admired him, that he really maybe even believes, like most people believe, in the healthy fruits and vegetables lie that we've been brainwashed with for 100 years. And I wish him the best of luck. And I know that when he goes to work at the FBI, he won't be pushing Field of Greens anymore. And even guys like Andrew Huberman, who everybody just respects the hell out of for his scientific knowledge, had Athletic Greens, same shit, as his sponsor for years and years, making a fortune on huge commissions paid when you use their links to buy that poisonous green powder. So, have they sold out? Or do they just not believe in all the stuff they talk about plants are trying to kill you? I don't see Anthony Chafee takes sponsors. He's got these carnivore bars and things like that, but at least he's not advertising powdered plant poison as the key to good health, well-being, just for huge commissions. And those things are expensive. And when they finally exposed that Athletic Greens thing, it turns out that 70% of the price paid for that was going to the YouTube influencer that was advertising it. So when they get you to pay $100 for a small bag of this miracle shit, $70 of that is going to the person that's extolling its virtues on their YouTube channel. I think that's despicable. You either believe what comes out of your mouth, or you don't. Tuka, thank you, Tuka, for the super sticker. I really appreciate that, my friend. Very, very, very nice of you. Very nice of you. And 140 people here. Cool. And over in Rumble, 11 people watching in Rumble. And I am monitoring the chat. But everybody chats in the YouTube chat as well. They should. I see Dixie Scott is here. Hiya, Dixie. How you doing? We're almost up to 10 o'clock in the chat, so I'm still just about a half an hour behind. Not too bad. Haven't seen questions yet, other than Tuka asking me, how are you, boss? Jerry Graham says no sound on that end. I guess it's not a common problem because I don't see people yelling no sound. Boy, if anything happens to the sound, it happens quick. And speaking of sound, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time. It's time, my friends, for a little happy music. In the midst of this pontification, excuse me while I fire up this cigar. And we'll see how many people I lose. I have 142 now. We'll see if 10 or 20 of you go away because you say, oh, that's disgusting. Ah. Yep, lost 10 of you. Lost 10 of you. Always predictable. Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. Yep, from 142 to 134 viewers, just that fast. As fast as you can fire up a cigar. 133 of you. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Sorry you guys feel that way. Sorry you guys feel that way. 132. It is what it is, my friends. I am going to be who I am. If you don't want authentic, you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place. Who else is here? Jason. Hey, Jason. H, how you doing? Costco here in my town has no eggs. Holy cow. That's crazy. I guess everybody's hoarding the eggs. I think everybody is, I mean, they'll stay good in the fridge for weeks, a month, 2 months even. You know, you refrigerate an egg, if it's a good quality egg, you'll be fine. Yeah, Walmart had those 5 dozen they were like $30 for 5 dozen in a big box. But they were just basic, soy-fed, generic white eggs, nothing special. We'll see. I'm anxious to try these Nellie's free-range eggs, and you can tell by the color of the yolk, by the taste, and believe me, if they have that much more nutrition in them, they're worth the money. Mike Pregler goes through 4 dozen a week. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy. It's the healthiest thing you can do. I don't even have a farmer's market close by. That's a great idea if you got one. Mike Allen says the manipulation of egg supply and pricing your way is sad. Yeah, it will come to an end. It will come to an end when they finally get the price up to where we think it's cheap. Because when eggs become $10 a dozen, and then they go back to $5 a dozen, we say eggs are cheap. We do the same thing with gasoline all the time. They manipulate the hell out of it to set a new normal, which happens to be 10 or 20 or 30% higher than the old normal. 2 years ago, I could go into any Aldi and buy a dozen eggs, even if they just were regular, white eggs, for 62 cents a dozen. I used to watch people who owned bakeries, used to come in there and walk out with 3 and 4 shopping carts overflowing with those eggs at 62 cents a dozen. Their base generic eggs now at Aldi's are $4 or $5 a dozen. It's the same eggs. What's changed? What's changed? Jeff Johnson in the chat. How you doing, Jeff? Still looking for QQQs, my friends. Terry Sue. Ours are $10 for an 18 bag of regular medium weight. Yeah, they're not shy. They're not shy. They push this thing, and their cohorts in the media go right along with them. Create the panic, create the crisis, get everybody riled up, get everybody going out there trying to think that they won't be able to find eggs. We'll always have eggs. Things will get better. Honest, folks. Honest, my friends. Things will get better. Things will get better. So this was at 10 o'clock, half an hour ago, when I was talking about the eggs and showing the pictures of my little shopping spree. So let me start to move along here and see if I can find something that you guys want to talk about. God, I can't believe I'm an hour into this already. Time flies when you're having fun. Cat, thank you. Nellie's are good eggs. That makes me feel better. Obviously, if Cat knows about them, they're not like a little local farm here in Central Florida. But I don't care if they're good eggs and what they say on the carton is true, and they have happy chickens named Nellie, foraging on pristine pastures, gobbling up tasty worms and grubs. That's for me. If that's the best I can find, I'll pay for them. And they're not that much more expensive, if at all, than the plain old white eggs they had there. I was happy to see that. It was a discovery for me this morning. And I'll buy all my eggs there if that's what they have, because we have to eat what we can find if you're going to be a carnivore. You're kind of held hostage by the supply chain. And there are things. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is pretty much it. With a little chicken and fish and pork and maybe some other animal products thrown in. And creative ways to make them. But not using spices and carbs to make them appeal to our addictions. Oh, let me see here. Oh, it's starting to get a little warm in here. That's great. It's supposed to be in the 70s here in Florida, Central Florida today. Wow. How cool is that? Dolly's here. Hiya, Dolly. How you doing? And Adrian Sherlock. When I was a boy, we ate meat and fish and butter, and we were thin and never sick. Imagine that. Who'd have thunk it? It's true. It's true, Adrian. Very true. Very, very true. I don't see questions. Wow, I am at 10:16 in the chat, and no inquiring minds out there today. People are saying hi to Adrian. No slow. Gary says, I used to buy margarine because I couldn't believe it wasn't butter. That's funny. That's funny, my friend. Okay. Look at all the chatting going on. Wow, a lot of chatting. A lot of chatting. And there's where I was talking about Bongino and his field of greens. You have to hear that commercial. It makes you scratch your head. Say, what? What? Hey, here's from Gary QQQ. Mitch, do you think the transgender man lived a vegan lifestyle because he was a her before? Oh, Gary, how politically incorrect is that? And for those of you that don't get it, her before is another way of saying herbivore. That's funny. I'm glad we got so many closet comedians here. That's great. Yeah, and DS111 says Bongino is a cancer survivor. Yeah, he took everybody along on that journey of his. He almost died. So I don't think it was the field of green shit that helped him cure the cancer. I gotta bet that guy eats his share of meat. He's Italian after all. Probably eats his share of pasta too. That was funny, Gary. I like that. DS111 says, I saw my friend, my car mechanic, yesterday for the first time in a couple of months. He has lost weight, and I guessed correctly, Ozempic, and he does not feel good on it either. No, nobody feels good. They report nausea, digestive problems. Of course they will. If they eat less food, it's because they're nauseous all the time. Who wants to eat when you're nauseous? I'm sorry. If you think that's the proper way to lose weight, go right ahead. In fact, again this morning on TV, I saw an advertisement for the Medi Weight Loss Center, whose entire program now revolves around Ozempic. And you, my friends, if you go to the Medi Weight Loss Center here in Central Florida, can get your first month supply of that medication for only $149. And you too can be nauseous and sick all the time and risk a deadly paralysis of your entire digestive tract, which will end your life. But you'll be thin and pretty. And we all know how important that is. Danny in Boston's here. How you doing, Danny? Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. How am I doing? Am I catching up at all a little? Yes, I am. I'm about 15, 20 minutes behind now. Not a lot of questions to get me off in a rabbit hole this morning, but that's fine. That's fine. And boy, I lost a bunch of you when I lit up this cigar. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Gary Noslow says that eggs are expensive, but crypto prices are coming down. Buy them instead. Buy Bitcoin instead. Yeah, but you can't eat that, unfortunately. We got to eat. We want to be carnivores. We want everybody to be a carnivore. How the hell can everybody be a carnivore when you can't find enough food for the carnivores there already are? When they keep making, when the prices keep going up and the supply keeps going down and they keep manipulating this stuff, do you think maybe it's a huge, giant conspiracy to keep us vegetarians, to keep supporting the status quo? You think? I think that that's what's going on. But then again, I'm a conspiracy theorist. A conspiracy theorist. I always have been. I always look for the why, for the reason, for the nefarious behind the reality. And the funny thing about all the conspiracy theories that I've ever bought into, that in time, every friggin' one of them has proven to be true. It was a conspiracy. It was. It was somebody's evil plan to accomplish or promote some agenda of theirs that coincidentally made them a very wealthy person. Louis L., question. When are we getting the next walk and talk and kitchen video, Mitch? I know you said you are moving more towards live streams, but I like the long form videos. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that again. I needed to get over this flu. I needed to get my head together about what direction I wanted to take on YouTube. It's a circus. It really is, and it's getting to be a more crowded circus every day. Greg, time to stop and make breakfast. Nellie's eggs and grab a... Was I the only guy on the planet that never heard of Nellie's eggs? Wow, that's the case. What a lucky coincidence this morning that I happened to decide for the first time to go into Walmart at 6 a.m. and see what kind of eggs they had. Lewis says to me, Mitch, if I come on with Mitch, I will talk about my experience with GLP-1 medications. Spoiler, I liked it a lot. That'd be great, Lewis. That'd be great because not everybody has bad experiences with it, like anything else in the world. Look at dairy. Some people love dairy, do great with it. Other people, like Nelson was saying this morning, he can't do it. He can't tolerate any of it. We are all different. And it also depends on the dosage. I remember you saying in your interview this morning with Nelson that you were on Monjaro, which is a kind of high dose. I think it's a high dose version of a GLP-1 agonist. But the best GLP-1 agonist that any humans can put in their body is going to be an animal product in the form of food. And it stimulates the GLP-1. And it does the job it's supposed to do. But it doesn't make you sick in the process. And it is a crutch for weight loss. And now so many members of the carnivore community, so many of the carnivore doctors and coaches in their effort to charge people $100 an hour for a private consultation are recommending this. I don't think it's the answer. But I was wrong before, remember? And these are just my opinions. These are my opinions. Pearl Grandma. Hey, Mitch, how do you like Eggs Benedict? Feed the bread to Rick's ducks, of course. I'm not crazy about hollandaise sauce. And I think that's what they put on Eggs Benedict. I'm just not a creamy, saucy kind of a person. So many people accuse me of just absolutely ruining my eggs because I overcook them. And they may be right. So maybe I only get 90% of the amount of nutrition available if I... So I throw an extra egg in there to make up for the difference. But I'm too old to change my ways. I mean, I never liked runny eggs. I can't eat them. I don't like the smell of a soft-boiled egg. I've always had aversions to that. The fact that I even eat the amount of eggs that I do is testimony to the fact that I finally found a way that I like them. And that is a fairly well-done omelet, cooked in bacon grease or butter. So that's what I do, and it works. And it works. So evidently, Claudia's telling Adrian, put a QQQ before your question. Mitch will see it better. So did I miss a question from Adrian? Is this it? Mitch, what do you think? Yes. See? Thank you, Claudia, for directing me to that. Mitch, what do you think about sauces on meat? Lots of hidden sugars and sauces. Yeah, I think sauces are... there's only one sauce you should put on meat, and that is its own fat. Rendered fat and grease, or some kind of animal fat. You know, melt some bacon grease and pour it over your steak. If you cook a hamburger, all that grease that's left in the frying pan after you fry up your patty, pour it back on top of the hamburger. Any sauce is a way to add sugar to something that doesn't need sugar. all sauces of any kind, especially ketchup, are pure sugar. A little cough. They're pure sugar. We are abstaining from sugar in all forms. And just about all other plant stuff. So the same thing for seasonings. Why do you think people love barbecue? Because it's a way of throwing the stuff you're addicted to on top of your meat, turning it into meat candy. All these rubs are all sugar. You take a perfectly good ham and glaze the hell out of it with sugar. We are such sugar addicts, we have figured out ways to cram sugar into virtually everything. Everything. So no, I'm not an advocate of sauces at all. Any kind of sauce. And I remember Lewis in his interview this morning saying that he makes an Alfredo sauce, which is animal products, cheese and dairy, and even dairy. I have come to subscribe to the reality that dairy is for babies and that human adults, if not for the addictive sugar and casomorphines that are in dairy, would not want it. But we seem to keep figuring out ways to cram dairy into our carnivore diet and justify it by saying, well, it comes from an animal. Dairy is the only thing that comes from an animal that's loaded with sugar. And that's why I think we rationalize its use, because it still allows us to get the sugar that our subconscious still thinks we need on a daily basis. BMAT says, I miss, excuse me while I beat my eggs. Okay, guys, enough said. I'll take the hint. I'll start filming more kitchen videos for you. Greg Smith says he got the Nellie's eggs in Nevada at Albertsons, $8 for 18. Yeah, I pay about 9 and change for 18 today. But yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that people who eat them like them, and maybe they are legitimate. Adrian's got a question. Adrian Sherlock, question, Mitch, could carnivore reduce the risk of prostate cancer? I think carnivore reduces the risk of virtually every cancer. I subscribe to Thomas Seyfried. I subscribe to Seyfried and his research showing how most cancers feed on sugar. And when the sugar goes away, so does the cancer. Prostate cancer is a whole different animal. Most of the time, it's just an enlarged prostate that people mistake as cancer because the cells are multiplying, and that's kind of normal for older people. Their prostates just get bigger. And when their prostates gets bigger, they start having flow problems and turn to drugs like Flomax. And that has terrible side effects. I've known so many of my friends as they got older complained, I got to get up every hour at night to go pee. Even Nelson was talking about that this morning. I've had an enlarged prostate all my life. They love to stick their fingers in those places and say, you got an enlarged prostate. We need to do this test, that test, the other test, and all that. And but I haven't really experienced too much of a, flow restriction. And, my attitude's always been, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I did experience some slowdown of my, I couldn't put out fires anymore. You know what I mean? Let's put it that way. I would not be very helpful as a fireman to piss on fires as a 20-year-old might be. But I never had a problem. I never had to get up all, maybe in the middle of the night once in a while I'll wake up. Maybe it takes 30 seconds longer to empty my bladder than it used to. But I can tell you that my PSA, which means prostate-specific antigen, that's the blood test that some people say isn't worth anything, but that's the blood test that generally is used to determine whether you might have prostate cancer or not. And then there's a whole school of thought that these prostate cancers that most older men have fall into a very slow progressing variety that generally the patient will outlive long before the prostate cancer ever could kill them. So sometimes stop doing surgeries, stop radiating things. You end up causing more harm than good. So who knows? Who knows? I can tell you that since I've been carnivore, and I would love to announce to you, because I found out today, I was curious, because everybody talks about how many days they've been a carnivore. They talk about it in days. I think that talking about it in years might be more meaningful, but we can't talk about it. We can't, we can be a carnivore. I've been carnivore, they say, for 275 days. Well, you got to have a lot of days before you can actually start bragging about the years. So I said, I'm coming up. I must be getting pretty close to 1,000 days as a carnivore with no cheat. No deviation whatsoever. Not a single piece of plant matter. Not a single carbohydrate in the form of bread, pasta, potatoes, vegetables, or anything. I have been eating only meat, drinking my coffee, puffing on my cigars, and my philosophy is it's better to smoke plants than to eat them. And my 1,000th day carniversary is April 27th. 2 months from now. And that's 2 weeks before my 87th, got it backwards, dyslexic. My 78th birthday, May the 7th. So in that 2-week period, I will be celebrating virtually everything. 1,000 days carnivore, 78 frigging years on this planet trying to be healthy, living the best life I've ever lived, in the best health I've ever had, in the easiest lifestyle that I have ever had, free of any food slavery, any carb cravings, and still with the knowledge that I am and always will be a raging carboholic, and to even think about trying to add back in anything that for some strange reason I might still think would fulfill or enrich my life, to me is pure folly when I don't want the stuff. The tiger is asleep. Why would I poke a sleeping tiger? Leave it alone. That's my philosophy. That's what I practice. And that's what I tell you I do. And tell you how I do it. Lewis L. says, 100% Mitch, yeah, food is the most important thing and the dose is important. Yes, I agree. You cannot be taking Ozempic and living in the Pizza Hut and the Dunkin' Donuts. Sorry, my friends, you're going to kill yourself. And that's the thing about so many of these things, is they tell you that, yeah, the drug is good, but you need to change your lifestyle. You need to change your habits. And nobody does that, because that's not why they take the drugs. They take the drugs because they don't want to give up the addictive foods that bring them so much pleasure. They don't want to give them up. They take the drugs and figure that's the easy way out. The easy way out is to change your lifestyle. It sounds scary. It scares the shit out of most people when you first tell them. They think we're crazy. Everybody thinks Lewis is crazy. Even though he lost 100 pounds and cured his health problems, they still think he's crazy. And they're always going to think he's crazy because they don't want to give up their pasta and their bread and their cookies and their cake and their pizza, their sugary drinks, their alcohol. They don't want to give up any of that stuff. It's so scary to them because that's the only thing in life anymore that brings them any pleasure. If it doesn't revolve around food, why would you want to do it? DS-111. Am I supposed to try to raise HDL-66 and lower triglycerides at 160? No. It is what it is, my friend. It is what it is. We have no conscious or path other than be on a carnivore diet, eat meat. It's the only thing that we can do to control any of this, and this has to find its own levels. And it may be that those numbers are exactly where you need to be healthy. It all depends on how you feel. People say, well, I need to lose weight faster. There's nothing you can do. It's not you're not in charge of how fast you can only eat the proper nutrition, follow the cues that your body gives you, and let your physiology do what it's going to do, and it takes however long it's going to take. God knows how screwed up it is in most people. And there's no doubt that in most people it is so screwed up that there's going to be a period of healing that might last years, if at all. So many people are so screwed up, have done so much damage to their body from so many years of toxicity to plants and sugars, not to mention seed oils, that there's no fixing it anymore. So at least give it the best shot you have, and that is stay away from the poisons. And that's the best advice I can give anybody. Jason H., have you ever looked into those meat delivery services like ButcherBox? I can't afford them, Jason. Quite honestly, I cannot afford $30, $40 for a ribeye. I don't have the money. Some of them are probably very good. But the average person cannot afford that stuff. Remember, a lot of what you're paying to those places are going in commissions to the influencers who push their products as sponsors on their YouTube channels. I would rather go into Gordon's Restaurant Supply, buy a primal cut of something, buy a chuck roll, buy a big ribeye, the whole thing, chop it up myself. Not have anybody else touch it. Try to get the best beef I can. And at least I can afford it because it's not $30, $40, $50 a pound. And it doesn't have to be shipped from somewhere in dry ice, all frozen. I can go in and buy this thing. It's never been frozen yet. I can butcher it up. And that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do, I think. Not that there's anything wrong with ButcherBox, and so many of these smaller suppliers have great food, cattle that's raised right, grazes in pristine pastures, not slaughtered too soon so that the grass-finished beef has time to develop the intermuscular fat that we call marbling. But most of this commercially available stuff that they label grass-finished is horrible that I've tried. And not only is it horrible, it's expensive. So, like Anthony Chafee and so many of these other people who buy their beef at the big stores like Costco and Sam's, say, it may not be 100%, but it's 95%. And Ken Berry comes along and says, if hot dogs and Spam are all you can afford, that's what you should be eating. So it's a matter of two things. Number one, can we afford it? Number two, is there really that much difference in it to be worth that kind of money? And that's a relative decision that we all have to come to ourselves. And somehow, something has to prove to us that, yes, it is worth that much more money because it is that much better. And I hope that these eggs I bought today fall into that category. I hope they are that much better. And then the fact that maybe they're 20% more money won't matter. Won't matter. But to have something mislabeled and to be deceived and to think that you're paying more for something that's premium. And my favorite word they throw around all the time is luxury. What's a luxury car? Think about that. What is a luxury car? Why is this car a luxury car and that car isn't? I drive a Hyundai. I just got a new Hyundai. I got rid of my Telluride. Same car, same company, Kia, Hyundai. I've been driving Hyundais for 20 years and Kias. They're well made, they run, they do a good job, but they have different what they call trim levels. Well, when does it start being a luxury car, like a $120,000 Escalade SUV, or a Hummer, or a Range Rover? When does it start becoming a luxury? What's the real difference? My Hyundai has Napa leather seats in it. Does that make it a luxury car? I have a suede headliner in my car. It's gorgeous. I have a higher trim level in my Hyundai. I have every electronic gadget known to man. I have massage built into my heated and air-conditioned seats. I paid 1/3 of the price for my car as a Cadillac Escalade SUV. And I don't see luxury in that Cadillac any more than the luxury I see when I get into my car. These are terms that we have accepted them as meaning better and makes us feel better ourselves. Have a luxury apartment, a luxury home. It's bullshit. It's all marketing bullshit. It's all marketing bullshit. And it has to, the price, you have to be able to justify that price to yourself. And I could buy 3 of these cars that I have now for the price of 1 Escalade. How could I possibly justify buying an Escalade when there's nothing in that Escalade that my car doesn't have? Except the name and the so-called status and boasting rights that go along with saying, I drive a $120,000 Escalade. It's bullshit. And people fall for it all the time. It's all about ego, social climbing, one-upping your neighbor, keeping up with the Joneses. Call it whatever you want. I played that game my whole life because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I finally got over it. And don't give a shit if people think that I'm rich, poor, or otherwise. I do it for me. I could probably get by as little as I drive with some 20-year-old piece of shit, POS. As long as it ran and got me to the store. But I have so few pleasures left in life, and the pleasure of climbing into a nice car that makes me feel special is worth it to me, so I do it. But I still live in a double-wide mobile home. It's practical for me. Florida. 5 Qs. Cancer cells have 7 times as many glucose receptors than ordinary cells. That's what they say. Sugar feeds cancer. I proved it to myself. See, and that's, again, where I come from. I don't just believe what everybody else says, because everybody else is saying everything. And for everybody out there yelling black, there's somebody else yelling white, and the two of them are arguing to the death over virtually everything, not just diet, politics, Is a Chevy pickup truck better than a Ford pickup truck? No shortage of opinions there. They're pickup trucks, for God's sakes. Is my sports team better than your sports team? We all pick sides in virtually everything. I don't know. Maybe our species likes conflict. That almost is obvious. But when it comes to cancer, I had cancer. I survived cancer. I don't brag about it. I don't say I'm a cancer survivor. I had malignant melanoma skin cancer, a deadly form of cancer that has killed a lot of people. I had a big black spot on my nose. My nose is not my nose anymore. I talked about this yesterday. My nose is my shoulder now. The skin on the top of my nose came from this side of my shoulder. I've got a 3-inch scar on my shoulder where they harvested this big piece of skin to rebuild the bridge of my nose. That could have killed me. I thought it did. When I first got the news that I had malignant melanoma on my nose, I said, well, that's it, Mitch. You had a good life. But it's over now. And turns out the news was good, that they caught it really early because I was on top of it, and I didn't like the way it was turning from brown to black. And they did a biopsy, and they caught it. I didn't have anything else, but it dictated the next years of my life when it came to worrying about, have I not licked this cancer? Is it going to come back? And one thing I noticed is the number of precancers as I started eating less and less and less sugar. The number of precancers that I was having that had to be burned off at the dermatologist reduced to 0. It's been years since I've seen the bottle of liquid nitrogen that they come out, freeze and burn off those precancers. And I used to get them all the time. And I go out in the sun 10 minutes before this stream, or 15 minutes before the stream. I killed the last 10 minutes waiting for 9:30 to come along. I took my hat off. I took my glasses off. The sun is shining brightly. I went out there, and for 10 minutes I stood there and let that sun shine on my face and into my eyes. And it felt great. And I didn't worry about getting skin cancer on my head anymore. And I don't worry about cancer because I don't eat any food that cancer feeds on. Am I immune to cancer? No. Am I doing everything that I can do as a human being to minimize the chances of getting any of these cancers? Yes, I am. And we're learning more and more about that. So yes, I think that the fact that cancers feed on sugar and the fact that the rates of cancer are rising at astronomical pandemic levels in society in general can be attributed to the fact that we're all eating a mostly sugar diet with nowhere near enough fat and meat in it. And just ask anybody and they'll tell you that's what you should be eating. All those healthy fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, never mentioned without the word healthy appended to the front of them. It's sad. So education is the key. And then listen to the people who can show you, well, here, look at me. That's the proof. All these bullshit tests and studies aren't proof. They're just manipulated propaganda. But, you don't hear this stuff. You do not hear this stuff. So how do you know it's wrong when nobody's talking about it? Because the entire message is driven by the money. And we all know where the money is. The money is not in us poor carnivores out there trying to propagate this message. The money is in the big corporations, big agriculture, big food, big pharma, big medicine. And there are big hospitals in there. Arrogant doctors who know it all. How dare you question them? You didn't go to medical school. How many times have I heard that from a friggin' doctor? Claudia Burkick, hubby calls April 27th our birthday since the beginning of our carnivore journey. We were reborn. Claudia, we share an anniversary. That's going to be my 1,000th day as a carnivore. And there's no doubt that I'm going to make it because I don't even want sugar. I don't think about it anymore. I have achieved 100% food freedom. And when people say, well, don't you think you're okay now? You could add back in and, have a treat once in a while. It's just most foreign thought to me in the world. That's not a treat. That's a bomb. Why would I eat poison? I've gotten over that association between that has been thrown at me since before I even knew or I was aware of my own existence as a human being. I knew that anything that was sweet and colorful was a treat and a reward. And that's a tough association to break after a lifetime. And we should start being more cognizant about how we use those things with our small children, because we are dooming our children to a lifetime of falling for this bullshit. But we don't have the guts or the courage to take that treat away from them, because that makes us bad in the eyes of everybody else. And their friends will say, your dad and your mom are mean and they won't let you have ice cream and pizza and candy and lollipops. They won't let you have a treat. They just want you to eat that yicky food. You can't win. You cannot win. The only thing you can do if you have a young family these days is be carnivore, or if you have to, be ketovore with the right kinds of low-carb vegetables, and not have that shit in your house or allow your children to be exposed to it, which means you pretty much have to take your children out of society in general. Keep them away from every other kid's birthday party. How do we do that? Where do we even start? Where do we even start? Now we're talking about cars, talking about luxury. How we doing time? Quarter after. It's going to end up 2 hours today. 11:11. I am almost caught up. I'm almost caught up, guys. See, eventually I'll get there. Lori's carnivore story. Do you finish your cigar after the show? Yeah, I'll smoke this cigar. Maybe a little more this morning. Maybe some this afternoon. May even last 2 tonight. My cigar puffing is not hurting me. It's a shame that people have to tune out when I do this. It's a shtick. It's an act. It's George Burns. It's a prop for me. I can live without it. I just enjoy puffing, and I don't see any harm. I see benefit in it. It is so calming and relaxing in this world of turmoil. The de-stressing that it provides me is so healthful. I consider my cigar puffing and not inhaling as something I do for my health, not as a habit detrimental to it. I gain. And you ask any man who enjoys a good cigar and savors it and relaxes and doesn't inhale, and you'll find, we have a lot of them in this community, you will find people describing what everybody calls a bad habit that has no bad influence or bad effect on them, only a good effect. And I'm sorry if people have to feel like they think less of me because I do this. You have to allow everybody to be the captain of their own ship. And if I want to drink the coffee, nobody should find fault with that and tell me I'm wrong. Period. I am a white, straight Republican male after all. I love this cup. How else can I piss you off today? We live in an insane world full of insane people. You guys are so great. Thanks so much for coming. going to wind this down. Hit the bottom of the chat. Rick is still here. Wow, look at you. You're all still here. Mike Allen says, Winston Churchill was hardly ever seen without his cigar. It's true. It didn't kill him. Didn't kill George Burns. Didn't kill my grandfather, who lived to be 102 years old, and what he finally died of had nothing whatsoever to do with puffing on cigars his whole life. 3, 4, 5, 6 a day, every day. Every day. Jemmett says, Mitch, we haven't had the clap in a week. Oh, have I been that remiss? There's a little clap for everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Yes, give yourselves a hand, my friends. You deserve it. You hung in here again with me today. Over 100 of you at least. 116 are still here. Wow, wow, wow. Ed DLC, question, Mitch, is it okay to eat a 16-ounce steak first thing in the morning and coffee? I just did. It is perfect, Ed. It is perfect. What could possibly be wrong with that? I wouldn't drink too much liquid with any meal for fear that it might dilute your stomach acid a little bit, inhibit the digestion of the food. But God, if you want to eat a 16-ounce steak, the earlier the better. And I think it's one of the things I disagree with Kilty on, and I don't disagree with him on much, but he says he likes to eat late in the day. He thinks that's, for some reason, and he has his reasons, better. I think that, and I agree with Nelson, who today espoused the fact that he thinks it's better to eat earlier in the day. I think that after 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you should not put any more food into your body. Let your final digestive cycle run its course. Go to bed without the energy load of digestion weighing on you. Get your good night's sleep. Let all the energy that you produce be directed towards healing instead of digesting food. Get that all out of the way early in the day. If you eat one meal a day, I would eat it around noon or 1 o'clock. If you eat 2 meals a day, I'd eat my first meal 11 to 12, my second meal 3 to 4. And that's it. And that's what I end up doing. Yesterday, I only ate 1 meal yesterday. I ate OMAD yesterday. I stuffed myself. My first meal of the day was at noon. I had half a pound of bacon, almost 5 or 6 eggs, and almost a pound of ground beef, and I almost couldn't move after I got done putting all that food in me. And I didn't even have the desire to eat anymore, and I didn't. So I have fasted almost 24 hours now. Not on purpose either. And during that period, autophagy has been working. My body has been healing and repairing itself. The last remnants of the flu I had are being taken care of by my own programming and physiology that I trust more than I trust any modern medicine, profit-driven bullshit that they put out there. So I think we've come to the end of the day, my friends. That's sad. But the good news is, tomorrow morning at 9:30, I'll be right back here. Right back here, and we'll start over again. And we'll see how long I go before I light up my cigar and scare half of you away. Anyway, Rick, thanks so much for participating today. Gary, No Slow, let me give you a little happy music. Say goodbye to each other in the chat. Thanks for the question, Ed. I think you're fine. I don't think there's any bad time to eat a 16-ounce steak. Oh, yeah. Rick says, thanks, Mitch. Take the rest of the day off. Oh, I intend to, and as I usually do in my magnanimous and generous way. In a minute or so, I'll give you the rest of the day off, too. And if anybody else argues and says that No, you can't have the day off. You send them to see me. You tell them, I'm sorry, but Mitch said it was okay. Wow. Still got a little hot coffee in that cup. Turn off the warmer. And we've got everybody saying goodbye. We got Terry, Sue, Lori, Gemmet, Lady, June, Bob, Black, Danny in Boston, Claudia, Burkick, Smoothie, Tammy, Petarch, Rick, Charger, Mopar. Wow, wow, wow. Gary, No Slow, Feral Grandma. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I had a good time today. I had a good time. I always have a good time doing this. Nothing aggravated me today. Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the coffees, guys. Did I miss anybody? Nope. I got everybody. Thank you all for the coffees. Thank you, Tuka, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. So, my friends, until tomorrow at 9:30. Have a great day. If you got nice weather, get out and enjoy it. Move around a little bit. Eat meat. You know that. And until tomorrow morning at 9:30, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.